All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for making it either online or in person. Since we are a little bit of hybrid, we would like to take a roll call. That way we can track everyone that's online.
Thank you. I'm going to skip the obvious here in the room.
Okay.
Morgan.
Present.
Thank you. Aplaknik.
I'm here.
Hershaway.
Here.
Hendricks.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Before you, you have the agenda. First up are announcements. Are there any announcements for today? Okay. Only other announcement for those in the room, make sure you remember to click your microphone when speaking so our online members can hear us. Second agenda item is minutes. We need to approve the minutes from our November 8th board meeting and our December 18th special board meeting. And I think I'll need to do those in two separate motions, please.
Move we accept the minutes of the November 8th board meeting.
Second.
Elliott, Siebert. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, November 8th meetings are approved. December 18th.
Move the minutes be approved. Second.
Rosenberg and Siebert. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Next agenda item is an update on the nursing program. Dr. Beals, unless Dr. Van Galen has something to add before that?
Simply welcome to Dr. Lisa Beals, Chair of our Department of Nursing, who has done an outstanding job working with colleagues to really transform our nursing program. But she will tell you more. Thank you, Dr. Beals, for being here today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I think you all know me pretty well by now, so I'm not going to elaborate on my background or anything, but I appreciate you inviting me, and I also appreciate your support over the last 4.5 years, because certainly without the support of the administration here at the university and the Board of Governors, we would certainly not be where we are today. And where we are today is fabulous in my eyes. I hope it is in yours. So before we really get into the data, I want to kind of talk to you about, we have kind of a unique approach in our department for nursing programs. We're very connected to our students. We think about our students in high regard and understanding intimately what they go through in their rigorous program. So I want to point out, we know them by name. So you'll see in the upper right-hand corner, we have 3 fabulous students. One's kind of tucked away, but this is our simulation that we do where they take care of a laboring mother, and then they're now taking care of the infant. And all 3 of these students are graduated now and actually working in the local Joplin area. So that's wonderful. And then we have our other graduate here. So when we start them out as a cohort, we always ask them their why and make them write it down and take a picture of them, and then we show it to them when they graduate. So this is a wonderful graduate that we have, and we are so very proud of her. She's actually working in the great state of Hawaii as a pediatric oncology nurse. So very proud of that young lady. And then we have current students. So our friend here in the picture, I would call him by name, but I know I'm being recorded, so I don't want to invade anybody's privacy. But very proud of this young man. He's actually finishing up a internship at a research hospital in Kansas City in the neurointensive care unit. And that's something to be said for a student not even graduated from their program yet. And then these two lovely ladies, we're very supportive of our student athletes, which is sure one of the young ladies. And then the other young lady actually scored the highest on her pharmacology standardized exam that has ever been done in the nation. Yeah, so, you know, we are so blessed with the students that we have, and are so, you know, grateful for their sacrifices that they make, and they do make sacrifices in studying it to be a nurse. So this is our mission and vision. I think it ties in very well with our current mission and vision for the university. We worked on this back in 2020, and going back in time a little bit, I thought I would recap for you where we came from and where we are now. So I was appointed in July of 2020, hit the ground running in August of 2020, and we were deficient in several areas according to the State Board of Nursing. The end result was hiring a new department chair, 7 new faculty. We got a moratorium on admissions, conditional approval of our program. But our response was not one of defeat. We took the horn by the bull, so to speak, and you know, looked at our mission, vision, our values. We created a new curriculum in about 4 months, got it approved, worked through all the approval bodies, and started out really mentoring those new faculty on being the excellent educators that they are today. August 2021, we had a focus site visit. They allowed us to admit 30 students in the fall. We admitted 21 in the fall of that year. August 2022, we admitted 26, so that's a nice upward trend. And we had our conditional approval changed to full accreditation with the our national accrediting body, which is ASIN. And then shortly thereafter, the Missouri State Board of Nursing moved us from conditional to full approval for the State Board of Nursing. We revised our RN to BSN curriculum and started working on our virtual reality clinical experience through that generous donation that you see there. So, you know, one thing I can say, our faculty, we're a close-knit group, and the board commented on that. So if you didn't know, we did have a site visit in December for the expansion proposal. And that's one thing that they've always complimented us on, is how close-knit our faculty are. And it's been shown multiple times through multiple nursing programs that that's one of the, you know, keys to having a successful program. So that's another one of our graduates, student athlete. Just love her. She's working up in St. Louis at Barnes. So this is our programmatic data over the last few years. As you know, we have had a 100% pass rate for the last 2 cohorts we have graduated. That graph on your other side, you'll see that blue line. That is actually the national average. And you can see we have been above the national average since 2021. So a little picture of where we were and where we have came. These are our retention rates. We do calculate 100% and 150% completion rates for our students because of our national accreditation and the State Board of Nursing. So you see here we actually have an above average retention rate for nursing programs in the nation. 80% is our kind of our benchmark. We have stretch goal. 90% is our stretch goal. So once we admit a student to the program, we absolutely 100% want to keep them. And a little bit more about our students. So about 55% of our students are traditional students. So those students that, you know, come stay in the dorm, they're local, they're young, right out of high school. But another 45% of our students are non-traditional students. And they age, the ranges of age is quite vast, as you see. We have students as young as 18 in the nursing program getting ready to graduate. Okay, picture that in your mind, which is awesome, to 53 years of age. So pretty wide range of learners there. We have about 9% international students, and that's not factoring in the pre-nursing students, which we do have international students that are in the pre-nursing major. That's also, kind of creeping up, so we need to plan for that to maintain our quality. And 27% are of diverse ethnicity, right? Wide-ranging diversity, which is what you want to see. Not just an ethnicity, but also male and female. So more, male gender getting into nursing, which is always a good thing. Our programmatic data, so we collect a lot of data, and the board commends us on that every single time that they've come to visit. They actually told me this time when they left that we're pretty much the gold standard now in the state of Missouri in terms of our data collection, which makes me very proud as a scholar. So our employment rate for our graduates is 100%. It's been 100% for honestly years and years, and that's great, and that's largely attributed to the nursing shortage that the country and even the world is facing right now. We do survey students before they graduate, and about 98% of them have employment even before they graduate. Like most of our graduating class right now, they have jobs already lined up, which is wonderful. That 2% that doesn't, it doesn't mean that they don't have offers. So a lot of times, especially I think it's trending now, they're kind of hanging back a little bit, and they're really being selective about positioning themselves to accept a good job when they graduate. 54% stay in the greater Joplin area, so that encompasses anywhere around the greater Joplin area, even into a little bit into Kansas and Oklahoma, which is great for this community. And 58% of our graduates report that they're going to continue their education, which is what we want to see in the discipline of nursing, is for our professionals to become more and more educated. 14% at the doctorate level even. And have some more great pictures there of our students. So clinicals, we have 675 hours of clinical, 45 hours of lab. We now have 43 clinical affiliations. Our newest clinical affiliation is Hometown Pediatrics here in Joplin. We actually have 3 of our graduates as nurse practitioners in that clinic, so that's wonderful. We do mid, high, and fidelity simulations and virtual simulation. About 23% of our clinical hours are simulation. And we have some unique scenarios that are a combination of a hybrid, high fidelity, which is like using the mannequins, and virtual reality. And that's unique, and I have spoken on that nationally, what we do there. And then we have a capstone standardized patient cardiac emergency scenario. So standardized patient means they actually have a real person. Okay, so that always kind of shocks them a little bit when we do that scenario, but that's a great experience for them. And here is that high point of standardized exams, which really is supportive that the curriculum we're delivering is what it should be and what it can be for our students, with that high mark on Exit 2 being the highest the program's ever seen. That was the graduating class of May 2024. So that wasn't the one student I told you's class, just to set that up, okay? Yeah. And so that leads us here to where we are today. August 23, we admitted 27 students to the fall cohort. and began year one of the RN to BSN program, the Title III grant, heavy in support there for that program. August 2024, so that's this year, we admitted 30 students. We submitted a proposal for expansion to go back to the fall and spring cohort with having up to 100 students when it's fully implemented, so admitting 30 in the fall and 20 in the spring. And then we also submitted the Missouri Department of Education grant proposal, which I have been hanging on to for the last couple of years, waiting until it's the right moment to submit that proposal to help support the programs in the department. So we've come a long way, baby. All right, so here's where we are now. We had a successful site visit, and we can accept a second cohort starting in the spring of 2026. We open applications July 1st. We were awarded that grant for a total of $347,252 and some change, with the aim to support pre-licensure, expansion, faculty retention, because I want to keep the faculty I have now. That's critical. And also to mentor, so providing that expertise, even throughout the state of Missouri. For example, I'm mentoring an interim chair in Southeast Missouri now that the Director of Education of the State Board of Nursing asked if I could do that, and I was happy to do that. So mentoring is very important. We've got some great programs around here that have novice nurse educators that need mentoring, and we certainly have the experience now, I feel, to do that. And then for graduate nursing program development. So we're on our way, and hopefully, I hope that we have made the community proud of the work that we've done and made you all proud. Anybody have any questions? Happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions for Dr. Beals?
I got one. Does as far as job placement goes for our students, what role do you play, or does the program play in that job placement? How does that work?
Well, I think through advisement, a lot of times they will ask us, where do I start as a new graduate? My philosophy has always been start at the bedside, med-surg floor. But with the shortage that we have now, a lot of our graduates, and they're well educated to do this, are going into those critical care areas because, we need nurses in those areas. So we advise them in that way. Also through reaching out, like we're talking with Freeman or Joplin or Cox or whoever is in need of nursing, they come into our facility and they recruit. So, that's having those relationships are very important. Yeah.
I've made this comment before, Dr. Beals, but as there are many of us on the board were here, and I know each one of us distinctly remember a meeting that we had here where we learned what a shambles our program was and the fear that we had of losing the program. The leadership that you have provided to get us from that point to where we're at, and it's not that long a period of time. And congratulations on what you've been able to accomplish. And I know a good leader is always going to deflect that to the people that are working with you, but they need to have a good leader, and you are. There's no question the leadership that we've experienced from you, and we just thank you so much for what you've done, and man, what a great time it is to be in the nursing program here at Missouri Southern. and because of your work. I really appreciate that.
I appreciate that. I'm a pretty humble person, if you haven't figured that out yet. You know, there's a quote, imagine that. There's a quote that I love, and it's about leadership. And, you know, leaders aren't born, they're called to it. And I certainly feel in my heart I was called to it, so I rose to the call. Any other questions, comments?
Dr. Beals, this is Governor Oplotnik. I just want to echo Governor Elliott's comments about, you know, what a challenge it was, and congratulate you on all your hard work and your team and the support. And you've really stepped up and shown, you know, what a great leader you are, and we're very proud to have you on our team.
Thank you. Go
At
eat.
risk of being in total echo chamber, I echo both Governor Elliott and Governor Oplotnik, because I well remember that. And thank you, your students, your whole faculty and support staff team. But also, I think having a pretty detailed memory, thanks goes to Dr. Van Galen, Dr. Toms for their leadership, and to Governors Oplotnik, Rosenberg, and Morgan for being chairs of the Academic Affairs Committee. I know they all worked, and we're glad to have you, Dr. Beals, behind them. So thank you.
Absolutely.
I would also like to say, if you ever get an opportunity to come to a pinning ceremony, a nursing pinning ceremony, you need to come. It's almost like going to church. I mean, it is a great experience. These students are so proud, as they should be, of what they've accomplished, and they give a lot of the credit to their faculty, but also to their families. So if you ever get an opportunity, you need to come to one of those.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments for Dr. Beals? Dr. Beals, thank you again for your presentation and for answering the call, and for doing what you do on a daily basis for our students.
Thank you very much. I'm going to head on.
Okay, now moving into the report section of the agenda. First up is the report from the President, Dr. Van Galen.
Thank you, Governor Haley, and I also want to thank Dr. Beals. I'll tell a brief story. At the pinning last year, each of the new graduates were given a small book called the Book of Beals, and it had some wise quotes from her during their time there, and I just thought that spoke volumes to the relationship that she and the faculty have with our students. So, and I still have that in my drawer, Dr. Beals, and there's a lot of wisdom in there, so thank you. Also, I want to thank folks on campus who made this meeting possible, facility services, information technology services, university relations and communications all came together to make our face-to-face meeting possible, along with the online options. So very appreciative of everyone involved with that. As far as my report, I'll start with federal advocacy. So if you look at the report, I spent a little time talking about a recent trip to Washington, D.C. that Dr. Hodson and I made to visit with some of our federal elected officials. Certainly, as a public university in the state of Missouri, much of our focus is on the state level, but the federal government also plays a very important role in higher education policy and providing resources to our students and our institutions. For example, about 1/3 of Missouri Southern students receive a federal Pell Grant based on having demonstrated financial need. That's about $7 million in Pell Grants each year that are distributed to our students through our campus. Also, our Project Stay program, which is part of the TRIO program, the Student Success Program sponsored by the federal government, provides absolute amazing support and opportunities to 176 Missouri Southern students, and the outcomes have been very impressive. So we had the opportunity to have those conversations in Washington to reinforce the importance of federal support for our campus and our students. Also in my report, you'll see updates on the Joplin Regional Alliance for Healthcare and Health Science, the new international partnership we have with Zhejiang International Studies University in China, and some examples of university engagement with the region. In the end, it really is all about the people and how they make a difference. On page 4, you will find a photo of the latest recipients of our Superior Service Award. Amanda Curtis, who is Manager of Change Management, LMS, and the Help Desk in Information Technology Services, and Robert Frosser, who is Mechanical Maintenance Supervisor in Facility Services. We celebrated them and all of our staff for their years of service on December 20th. Both Robert and Amanda were cited for the excellence in their work, and I'd like to read just a couple of quotes that came in from the nominations. In nominating Amanda Curtis, a colleague noted, "She might be one of the busiest people I've ever met, but she still puts 110% into every task that she works on. Even with her immense workload, she's always willing to help others when they ask and always has a positive attitude." And one of Robert's nominators stated, "Robert's upbeat and productive attitude helps create a positive, motivated atmosphere at work where solutions are prioritized, collaboration thrives, and challenges are met head on." We're indeed fortunate to have so many outstanding staff and faculty committed to our mission on this campus. On Monday, this coming Monday, the 2025 spring semester will begin, and we will be especially reminded of our purpose here and the importance of our work. I believe that the year ahead, 2025, will be a bright one for our university as we look forward to much progress and some celebrations. Here are a few examples. Later this month, we will celebrate the 50th anniversary of women's athletics at Missouri Southern with 2 special events as we reflect on the impact that early trailblazers such as Sally Beard have had on hundreds and thousands of women student athletes over that 50-year period. In March, we will host the 2nd annual Wilcoxon Innovation and Health Sciences Summit, a great example of how philanthropy supports our efforts to become more distinctive as a university. We anticipate continued strong progress on the Lines Forward campaign as we see the power of focused fundraising efforts that connect donors with a set of well-defined priorities. And we're hopeful for a successful legislative session in Jefferson City, including a formal recognition by the legislature of our expanded statewide mission. As always, it's about providing educational opportunities to our students in an environment of meaningful relationships, connections that make a difference in the lives of our students. Finally, I want to highlight the Martin Luther King Day Junior celebration that our campus will host on Monday evening later this month in the Ron Richard Athletic Center. Dr. King certainly valued education, and in that spirit, I share a quote with you from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character. That is the goal of a true education." Finally, I want to share with the board a video that was produced by Curtis Almeter and was shown to our campus this morning at 8:30 as we had our virtual spring kickoff meeting. I think you'll enjoy this video. It's just under 5 minutes, and you'll see some of the stories from our students who graduated this past fall commencement. I hope you enjoy it.
I came to Missouri Southern really nervous, really scared, really uncertain, and I have grown so much confidence in myself and in my abilities, both as a student and as a leader.
I've definitely become more independent, and more just I think understanding too of others.
I think there have been a lot of changes since being at Missouri Southern. I started with a completely different major, and then I was introduced to Dr. Holdson. I found a love for people and for business that I didn't know that I had before. I think I really grew into myself.
Yeah, I have I think quite a few favorite memories, but most of them stand out just being a part of the golf team here at Southern. We won 2 tournaments as a team here. Those moments are my favorite when I look back, because even the not so great moments, we're still able to represent our school.
So I have many great memories at Southern, but one I feel that really stuck out was my recent trip to China. Getting to immerse myself in a new culture and spend 2 weeks in a country I've never even been to. Just the friendships and the connections I've made. These friendships are going to last a lifetime.
My favorite memory from MSSU would have to be my trip to Ireland. There's so many incredible things I got to do and see and experience.
All of my education professors made a big impact, but I know Dr. Karami, he was my advisor and my professor for some of my courses, and he really made a positive impact on me, because specifically with, anytime I had a question or a concern or whatever it may be, I, would send him an email or go to his office, and if I sent him an email, I could probably expect to get an email back within the next 5 or 10 minutes.
Debbie Ford had a significant impact on my time at Southern, from just being a helping hand, and not only just Debbie Ford, but the Project Stay staff as well.
Dr. Holdson has been an integral part of my learning. She not only served as my advisor, but served as a professor in many of the classes that I took. She made a true effort to get to know me and what I wanted out of my career, and then went out of her way to find places for me to develop professionally. Dr. Rebecca Mauser in the English department, I might cry. I will remember her for the rest of my life. My very first day on campus in the English department, I was so nervous, and as a non-traditional student, I felt like I didn't belong, and I was just really scared, honestly. She just instantly made me feel like this was where I was supposed to be. She was so warm and welcoming and encouraging, and there is so much that I've accomplished here that I wouldn't have even tried if it wasn't for her. I think what I'll miss the most are the relationships that I've built with students and faculty. It's been so nice to have kind of those mentorship relationships where I was able to learn so closely with students and with other faculty.
Definitely the people. My professors, classmates, coaches, teammates, all of them. I think just all the relationships and connections that I've built, I think that's what has made Missouri Southern home for me. And just like I said, building all those relationships, because I know they're never gone, but not being able to see those people every day I'm gonna miss them.
Yeah, the faculty here are so great, and I will probably miss them the most.
And that's why we're here. That concludes my report.
Great. Awesome video. Well, hope this keeps us centered on why we are here, that our students matter and that we're making a difference in their lives. So I appreciate you sharing that. Any questions for Dr. Van Galen? Okay. Moving on, next we have a report from our Executive Vice President, Dr. Brad Hodson.
Thank you. Good afternoon. A few highlights from the report in your packet. At the end of November, the Lions Forward campaign had received $35.5 million in total commitments, and we are just in the process of wrapping up posting gifts from December 31st, so we'll have a number for the end of the calendar year here very soon, but we are exactly halfway through the campaign. We have 2.5 years left, and 7.2 at the end of November left to raise, 7.2 million, so it's an exciting time. One of our goals in our strategic plan is to better publicize the impact of philanthropy on campus, and so to that end, we will be customizing a poster that we will be putting in every academic building on campus that highlights how that particular building or the departments in that building have benefited from philanthropy. And I brought 2 examples. today for you to take a look at, perhaps as you leave the meeting today. But I think it's important for the students, the faculty, the staff, any visitors to understand the role that donors and private giving have on the quality of the education here at Missouri Southern. So we're excited about that initiative. A couple of construction updates. The Roy Blunt Health Science Innovation Center has changed dramatically in the last week. A week ago, it was stairwells and elevator shafts poking out of the ground, and now there's structural steel. You can see where hallways will be and first, second, and third floors will be. It's really taking shape and very exciting. Masonry is on hold a little bit. You're probably aware you can't lay cinder blocks in less than 30-degree weather, and so they are on hold, but the steel is going right on schedule. We expect the slab pour on the east side of the building to begin at the end of this month, and then you'll begin to see interior metal studs go up to form walls and spaces in February. And so from now on, it'll be very exciting to watch the physical progress of that facility. We are still on schedule for a July 2nd, 2026 opening of that facility, a handover from Crossland Construction. And you see in there that when I submitted my data at the end of the calendar year for this report, we had a total of 7 lost weather days. That has increased a little bit in the last week. I think we're up to 9 now, but still managing very well. And once the building is under roof, those will diminish rapidly. I also want to give you an update on the Leggett and Platt Athletic Center. This group met in mid-December to allocate $2 million in reserve funds for that facility. The Missouri Southern Foundation met a couple days later and allocated $1 million from their unrestricted reserves for the project. And we are very quickly closing in on finalizing some philanthropic opportunities. And so that funding package is coming together very well. The contracts are either have been reviewed by legal counsel or in the process of being reviewed. And so we are signing contracts very soon and getting the ball rolling on procurement. And we are ready for a May launch of that construction project after commencement. Before May, though, the board also allocated $190,000 roughly for the roof, and Jeff Bowen was in my office with a contract in his hand that afternoon, and I signed it. And so we are on schedule. I think it's February or March to have the roof begin work there, and that's very exciting as well. So that project is moving along really nicely. On the second page of my report, you'll note that we did meet with our local legislative delegation in November and had the opportunity to share not only the Coordinating Board for Higher Education's priorities, which we support, but also some Missouri Southern specific priorities for the legislative session, which began earlier this week. And you'll also note that Kathy Jo Loy is the new representative for the 163rd District, and Missouri Southern is a part of that legislative district. So Representative Loy is our member in the House, and she has been very actively engaged in getting to know Missouri Southern. So I think that's it. Oh no, I did want to mention that we talked about this before, Governor Elliott. The RFP for a consultant to work on determining square footage and maintenance and repair projects on campus to get a more global sense of the scope and scale of that issue. That RFP will be issued next week, likely maybe the week after, but we are rolling. It's our hope that by the time the board convenes in March, we have a vendor named and can have a timeline in place, and so that is moving forward. So.
Questions for Dr. Hodson?
Dr. Hodson, would you please express our thanks to the foundation for their support for the Leggett and Platt project. We really appreciate that very much. And without them,
thank you.
We couldn't make this happen. So thank you.
Wonderful. Other questions for Dr. Hodson?
I've got a remind
me.
me question, because I know he addressed this on the 18th, but phase 2 of the Leggett and Platt, dependent on funding for that. What time relationship? When would we like for that to start? How does that fit with phase 1 project?
Right. So phase 1, as you recall, is the basketball court, the track, and the bleachers. That is the first priority. That will hopefully be done a year from now, January of 2026, barring any unforeseen circumstances. You'll also recall that the funding from the Board of Governors, the funding from the Foundation Board was primarily used for phase one.
Right.
So depending on how any philanthropic support we received is staged out, then that phase two would be funding available on an ongoing basis. So if you had a donor
Based on availability.
right, if you had a
Okay.
donor that did a $2 million gift over 5 years, 10 years, as that funding rolled in on those pledge payments, you'd be able to make the phase two improvements.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Dr. Hodson.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a report from our Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs, Dr. Lisa Toms.
Well, good afternoon. Academic Affairs hosted our all-faculty welcome back meeting yesterday morning in person. We were able to do that at the Jen Anderson Justice Center. We focused on departments that were being innovative in student recruiting, engagement, and retention, and had a great meeting. One of those departments that presented was the Teacher Education Department. They have several innovative initiatives ongoing. One of those is their partnership with the Southwest Center, which is the local co-op that's housed over in Webb City. And Southwest Center has a TQP MOACT grant. I don't know what all that stands for, but that particular grant is to allow additional teachers to enter the workforce. In this particular case, it's utilizing the Master of Arts in Teaching program that we have here at Missouri Southern. 15 new MAT students will enter the program in January with the support of the Southwest Center through this grant. So that's very encouraging. Their graduate programs and their undergraduate programs are growing. We are now considered to be one of the Southwest Center's go-to educator preparation programs. That's a great partnership for us to have. So I think I mentioned at our last meeting in November that we were getting ready for the Artful Medicine Symposium. That was held on November 15th. It was a great collaboration between artists, physicians, and scholars who all presented, not all, some presented oral and poster presentations about the medical humanities. If you remember in November, you approved a certificate in the medical humanities. This is an area where Missouri Southern is leading in curriculum and immersive learning, such as study abroad trips that partner biology and art, and in scholarly activities. As a matter of fact, one of our faculty members, Dr. Christine Bentley, just finished up her sabbatical from this past fall, where she traveled up to the Northeast in Boston. She partnered with faculty at Harvard Medical School, Johns Hopkins Medical School, and partnered well enough that some of those faculty are actually going to be participating in lecturing and traveling with our Study Abroad MKeep program this summer. So some great opportunities for our students to hear from those who are leading in that field. Finally, the 158th MSSU Law Enforcement Academy class graduated on December 12th. That class had a 100% post pass rate and 100% job placement. So that concludes my portion of the report, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Questions for Dr. Toms? Hearing none. Thank you, Dr. Toms, for your report. Next up is a report from our Chief Financial Officer and Treasurer, Ms. Linda Ice.
Good afternoon, everyone. In my report, I talk about starting to do additional and intense work on the FY26 budget. It is hard to believe, but for me, half the fiscal year is already done. We'll be moving along very quickly, and it will be time again for our annual audit. But before that, we will be working intensely on the 2026 budget, and obviously taking a look at revenues and any additional expenditures. Each year we know that we're going to have some additional costs, typically within health insurance, and Mosers are two of the bigger ones. Had some conversation about property insurance, and surprisingly, since we are part of a group that has insurance, and we know that we've had the earth, wind, and fire claims, we actually do not anticipate a significant increase in property insurance because we are a part of a group. So that will benefit us, and we'll keep tabs on that as we move along, and I'll let you know how that plays out. On the human resource front, the Fair Labor Standards Act was struck down. The overtime rule was struck down on November 15th of 2024. We had initially July 1 because at that time it was not struck down and it was implemented at the time. We had 41 employees that were impacted. We had 39 that were transitioned to salary non-exempt. Basically, that allows for overtime. With the November 15th ruling, these employees reverted back to salary exempt status, but that did not go into effect. We chose to do that January 1 of 2025. Just to allow, if they had some events or different things that were going on in December, we wanted to give a little time there before we transitioned them back to their exempt status. In addition, effective January 1 of 2025, the state of Missouri increased the minimum wage rate, and that impacted 32 full-time employees and 20 part-time. Dr. Van Galen talked about the Employee Appreciation Brunch, and that's one of my favorite events for our staff during that time of year in December. There's a lot of work done by a lot of people. IT is involved, facility services involved, and human resources actually carries the load on that. They do a lot of work. They come up with a theme every year. This year was peanuts, and so lots of Snoopy and Charlie Brown and some Charlie Brown trees on the table, and it was just a really fun event. And I do want to give an extra shout out to Laura Switzer. So her and her husband actually built some of the props that they had for that event. And they were very excited to do that and kind of went the extra mile this year on some of those decorations. I'll now move over to the financial statements for the period ending December 31 of 2024. Our current cash balance on the graph reflects a $20.5 million. This is an increase over the prior year of a little over $1 million. Our assets are at $194 million. Liabilities are $132 million. Net assets are $62 million. We move to the comparative statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position, and we always look at the difference column. This compares the current year to the prior year, cumulative. Our operating revenue has an increase of $1.1 million. Our operating expense has an increase of $2.6 million. A piece of that, as you can see, there is an increase in our compensation. You will recall we had the across-the-board raise. In addition, we have, as many people have spoken about, we have a lot of grants that are funding some of our newer positions, and that makes a difference in the compensation. So the compensation may go up, but some of that is reimbursed from the grants that we have received. Other benefits shows an increase, and a big piece of that is Mosher's. A little over $300,000 of that is the Mosher's increase. I'm sorry, Governor Haley. Non-operating revenues increased by $1.4 million. That reflects the appropriation increase that we have, the Science to Job appropriation that we have. Income before the revenues, the current year does show a loss of $1.8 million. The prior year shows a loss of $1.7, and a decrease between the 2 years is a little over $100,000. And other revenue shows $5 million increase, and that is for the Health Science Innovation Center, and that is the funding that we are currently receiving from the state of Missouri for that project. So we'll continue to see that come in reimbursements as we move along in the project. That concludes my report.
Thank you for your report. I need a motion to approve the financials.
So moved.
Governor Siebert.
Second.
Governor Elliott. All those in favor of approving the financials?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Perfect. The financials have been approved. Thank you. Next up is a report from our Associate Vice President, Admissions and Enrollment, Dr. Shelley Hewitt.
Thank you, Governor Haley. I will start with spring recruitment event updates for you. So today, Missouri Southern had planned on going to Riverton High School in Kansas to host a green and gold event. Unfortunately, Mother Nature decided that wasn't the right time for us to go to Riverton, so we have rescheduled that for a date in February. But we had planned on going and talking to the students about all the things that Missouri Southern has to offer, as well as allowing juniors and seniors to apply for a $1,000 scholarship. So we will be seeing them in February. We have also seen an increased number in high schools from Arkansas and Oklahoma who are scheduling group tours with Missouri Southern. So we are happy to see that, and we are looking forward to welcoming all of those prospective students to campus this spring. Enrollment highlights for spring. So new graduate student enrollment continues to be on the rise, and we are seeing students from many states other than just Missouri who are choosing Missouri Southern for their graduate programs. At present, our top graduate program for new graduates this spring is Master of Science in Education, Curriculum, and Instruction, followed by a Master of Science in Sports and Recreation Management for spring. Our top program for new freshmen this spring is psychology. Yes. And for new transfer, it is criminal justice and rad tech. Keep in mind, new students for spring. So it's nice to see that we are having other programs that are becoming, more popular and students enrolling. So this week, we also welcomed 53 new international students to campus for orientation. We had freshmen transfer, and there was one graduate student. Several new countries that we have represented this spring to make note of are Peru and Guyana. Moving on to university marketing initiatives. So URM is implementing a new project management system that actually rolled out to campus this week. This new process is going to allow our URM team to prioritize all requests to ensure the needs of the campus are being met and that we are strategically using our resources to grow enrollment. Many of our new marketing campaigns will be rolling out this spring, some which include retargeting campaigns for freshman prospects, transfer campaigns that target our 4 core community colleges, and then specialized academic program campaigns for both graduate and undergraduate programs. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions for Dr. Hewitt?
I noticed that on the first page on spring enrollment highlights that the graduate students predominantly come from the following counties: Polk, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yes.
It's a beautiful place. But it's really cold.
They're looking for warm. Okay.
I think it's really good that your group is working to do our transfer agreements with the community colleges. I think the more we can show that connection to those students, that there's a future for them here at Missouri Southern, the better off we'll be as a campus, and for those students as well, that we have lots of opportunities for them here. So, good job on that. Thank you for your report. Next up is our report from our Director of Athletics, Mr. Rob Mallory.
Thank you, Governor Haley. Good afternoon, everybody. I'll start by highlighting the strong performance of our student athletes in the classroom this past fall. Last semester, the department GPA was a 3.24, up significantly from the prior year. All but 2 of our teams were at a 3.0 or better, and 9 were above a 3.25. You can see the top performing teams listed there in the report. Additionally, 70% of all of our student athletes earned a 3.0 or better, and 80 of those earned a perfect 4.0 GPA. So with that performance, the department cumulative GPA currently stands at a 3.27, 13 consecutive semesters at a 3.0 or better. So yeah, really proud of our student athletes for the work they're putting in the classroom. Name, image, and likeness, something that is certainly a hot topic in college athletics these days. And the Missouri Southern Athletic Department has recently entered into a new partnership with Teamworks Influencer to launch a new NIL exchange. This will be a dedicated, customized portal that connects Missouri Southern student athletes to businesses and other interested parties that would like to support NIL opportunities for our student athletes. Additionally, there are educational opportunities through this platform and a compliance mechanism to make sure we are in line with all NCAA and state requirements. We're in the process of kind of implementation on the back end of this right now, and we'll publicly announce that when we're ready to roll it out to our student athletes, hopefully later this month. And then lastly, would like to highlight some programming being organized by our Student Athlete Advisory Committee for the spring semester. And I apologize, I got the title of this programming wrong. I have it as Life After the Game. It's actually Lions After the Game. But this semester, there will be 4 events hosted by the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, one in January, one in February, one in March, and one in April, covering topics like job search, career preparation, financial literacy. We'll host, once again, a Life After the Game panel featuring former student athletes, and then a Navigating the Transition from Sport session with Dr. Brett Miller. This is a topic that we've heard from our student athletes is something very important to them, assisting them, helping them in figuring out how to transition out of that sport when sports has been such a big part of their life. So really looking forward to those events, and we will continue to add programming in the Lions After the Game schedule in future years as well. And that concludes my report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions for Mr. Mallory? Rob, I do have one quick question on your name, image, and likeness partnership, which I think is a good idea, a good platform for us, for our student athletes. What's our marketing strategy for that? Because I'm thinking of a number of businesses that are led by alums. How can we get this information out to them to see if they want to partner into this project?
Yeah, we're hoping to host an NIL night or event of some sort on campus, inviting the business community, other people that might be interested in NIL to come to campus and learn more about this. Teamworks will provide a representative to talk about the platform and the exchange and how that works and how those businesses can support our student athletes. I think also, myself just getting out and speaking with different groups, whether it's Rotary groups, Kiwanis, Chamber of Commerce, and other interested parties in the community.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving to our next report, Staff Senate President, Ms. Leona Belk.
Thank you, Governor Haley. Can you guys hear me? Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm having issues with my laptop, so I was not sure. We do not have a whole lot to report on since the last Board of Governors meeting. The biggest thing that we have had, of course, is our Angel Tree project, which is probably our favorite service project that we do throughout the year. This year, we had lower numbers than normal. We did have some issues with changes in financial aid. Sorry, my dog's barking. But we did serve 55 students this year. Or not students, I'm sorry, 55 children was the final number that we were able to serve. And I do want to give a huge shout out to the EMS students. They collected donations, financial donations, as well as gift donations, and they were able to provide stocking stuffers for every single child this year, as well as the gifts that they provided to the students that they adopted through the program. So we look forward to continuing this as always, and then we look forward to the rest of our Senate year. That concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Belk? we're going to jump backwards. It's my fault, Dr. Blyfuss. We're going to get back to you. Faculty Senate President's report.
Dr. Blyfuss, hold on just a minute. We're having problems with either our sound or your microphone. You're sounding like a chipmunk.
Or he's got helium in the house.
She said it's his microphone.
She said it's your microphone. Can you try a different? Do you have a different one you can try? No? Okay, let's stop for a minute.
Does he have headphones he can plug into or something?
Do you have headphones that you can plug in or anything? Okay. Hey, we're going to move ahead to our student report. Do you have your phone? You could call in and use that as thank you.
See, it wasn't me.
That's cool. That's cool.
We just had subtext to be perfect.
Closed captioning.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
Okay. Pause the Faculty Senate President report. We're going to move to our Board of Governors Student Rep report. Mr. Maddox Stutter.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'd like to start off with how students are eager to return to campus and resume classes with a sense of enthusiasm for the opportunities to come. On a personal note, I recently returned from an immersive trip to China, and I can confidently say it's an experience I miss every day. It has broadened my perspective and given me a deeper appreciation for the global connections our university can provide. Our student athletes are beyond excited about the university's and board's approval on the ongoing renovation of the Leggett and Platt Athletic Center. I've received a short testimony from the men's basketball student assistant who is thrilled about the impact these improvements will have on their experience and performance. MSSU student Brent Worley says, as a student assistant for men's basketball, I'm really thankful the university is renovating the Leggett and Platt Athletic Center. It's exciting to see the facility getting the upgrades it needs to support athletes and fans. These improvements will make a big difference for everyone involved in our program, end quote. This excitement is felt across campus, energizing the student body. And next, an update from our student governance. The Student Senate recently passed an amendment allowing whoever is appointed to the Board of Governors student representative position to also serve as a student senator. This amendment will strengthen the collaboration between the student body and the student senate, and this amendment is now heading towards the student body for approval, and I look forward to seeing this enhanced representation take shape in the near future. As we step into this semester, I am optimistic about what we can accomplish as a university, and we look forward to a successful and engaging spring semester. Thank you.
Questions for Mr. Stutter? All right. Thank you, sir, for your report. Are we ready to try again?
I'm ready to try again.
Oh, perfect. All right.
Switch computers. Well, thank you all. My report's included in the packet. I just want to highlight a few things this afternoon. Faculty Senate continues to work to enhance communication across campus by inviting representatives from various units to our monthly meetings. In December, immediately following his return from China, Dr. Hodson graciously provided an update to Faculty Senate on facilities projects. We look forward to hosting athletics at our February meeting. The Senate has tasked the Handbook Committee with conducting more comprehensive annual reviews of the handbook. Additionally, we have some reports coming in from Faculty Welfare Committee that we'll be discussing with administration in coming weeks and months. The one thing I want to highlight in addition to that is a recent discovery regarding an employee emergency fund. A faculty member faced a medical emergency right before the fall semester last year, and there were some questions about whether or not such an emergency fund existed. At the time, nobody knew of one. We looked around a little bit. We eventually discovered that there is a fund that exists within the foundation, and it has a small balance. Over the next semester and year or so, I'd like to work on increasing the balance and increasing the visibility of that fund in case anybody has use of it in the future. My report again included select student comments from last year's Outstanding Teaching Award nominations. These comments highlight the excellent work of 3 of the 52 faculty members who were nominated for that award list. We're all looking forward to the beginning of the new semester next week, and we appreciate all of the work that the folks in facility services are doing to prepare campus, especially after all that snowfall. I was out this morning with a shovel clearing the path, so I know it's not easy to remove all that wet snow, and we appreciate it. We're looking forward to getting started next week. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Questions for Dr. Blyfus? All right. Thank you, sir, for your report, and sorry for the technical difficulties.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Thanks.
Okay. Next up, we have board committee reports. First up, personnel and compensation, Governor Elliott.
We did not meet.
Okay. Next committee, academic affairs, Governor Morgan.
Good afternoon, everybody. The Academic Affairs Committee met this morning, and we have 2 recommendations for consideration of the full board. The first one is the approval of the academic calendar for 2026 through 2027, and then the subsequent year, 2027 through 2028. So I believe that we've all reviewed or should have had access to the academic calendar. If I could entertain a motion to approve the academic calendars for those 2 years.
So moved.
O'Plotnick, I'll make that motion.
I have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion to approve the academic calendars for 26 through 27 and 27 through 28 passes. The other recommendation that the Academic Affairs Committee had for the full board is we had 2 faculty sabbatical recommendations, and those were for Leslie Smith for a full year and for David Penning for a half a year. And the board does recommend those proposals. We need a vote from the full board. Could I have a motion to approve those sabbatical recommendations?
So
Move. You have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes and those sabbaticals are approved. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Governor Morgan. Next up is Budget and Audit Committee, Governor Seibert.
Thank you, Governor Haley. The Budget and Audit Committee met, and the main item of discussion was a conversation around a standardized course fee for graduate level courses, and that is for the fiscal year 2026. This can come before the full board for approval. If we have any questions or want any discussion, we can bring our CFO in. If not, I would look for a motion to approve.
You can make it.
I would make that a motion to approve the 2026 graduate course fee as presented.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion approves and is passed for a $42 per credit hour graduate fee starting fall of 2025. Thank you, Governor Seibert.
That concludes the Budget and Audit Committee update.
Next is old business. Any old business to come before the board? Any new business items?
Briefly, Governor Haley, I don't know if he's in the other room, but I want to recognize Scott Westwood. I think Abby's checking on him. Okay. Thank you. Well, nevertheless, Scott Westwood, this is his last day at the university. He's moved on to other opportunities. He is working in IT and has been simply brilliant and has done outstanding work in arranging for the technology for events. You see him everywhere, and he and I joke, it's like we have the same schedules because he is super engaged in campus and has done a great job. So I'll just put it on the record, a debt of gratitude that we have for Scott Westwood and wishing him the best. So thank you for giving me that opportunity.
No problem. Thanks, Scott, for your service to Missouri Southern. In your agenda, you see the future meeting dates for March 14th and June 12th. Today, we do have a need to go into executive session pertaining to RSMO 610.021, sections 1 and 3. So I would need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Governor Elliott. Have a second?
Second.
Governor Rosenberg. Roll call, please.
Haley,
Yes.
Rosenberg,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Seibert,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Hershaway,
Yes.
Hendricks,
Yes. Yes.
oh,
Can you not hear me?
I forgot to turn on my mic. But they heard me,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Hershaway has said yes 3 times. I don't know if you all heard her or not.
Yes.
Thank you for that. We will now move into closed session and see you there in, I guess, how long it would take for you guys to log on. Work
Jeannie,
room?
what's the room, please?
341.
341. Sounds like a good number.
All right. Thank you, everyone.